Hello and welcome back to another video. Please remember to subscribe, like, and do note I have a merch store, so check that out in the description. Let's get started.
Hello, welcome. Today we're showing off this little iron farm over here that I've made. Now, I built this myself and I'm pretty proud of it. I think I did a great job here. So, I'm going to show off some of the features. Oh, ignore that down there, that's just for a previous video. Do stick around to check that out though. Anyways, got this little pillager over here. I named him Cheese. Right now he's firing at the villagers, but that's completely okay. His crossbow will break eventually. It's gonna take like an hour, but it's fine. He won't shoot them because of this little system I've made. Your aim sucks. I went straight over their head. Anyways, we made this little system here where it's got the standard bopping up and down mechanism where it utilizes a wall and some water running over it to keep the pillager jumping up and down. And this periodically scares the villagers. Please do check out my little Iron Farm Explained video so you actually know how all this stuff works. But basically, he's just firing at him, hitting the boat, because the boat, although it is not technically a block, it can still eat arrows because it's kind of invulnerable. Not really. If you were to shoot it enough times, then it would eventually break. But because the pillager has to, reload in between every shot, and he fires so infrequently, the boats never break and it just keeps on consuming arrows. So, it's completely fine. He's meant to be shooting at them. Oh, he's getting concerningly close though. He's never going to hit them though, so it's fine. I've tested this for a while. Not a villager has died, so we're good. Now, over on the chambers themselves, they're pretty similar to what you'd find in most iron farms. I just changed up the chain placement a little bit because I figured I could do a little bit better. Having the villager a bit closer means that, they can get scared a little easier. And other than that, pretty standard. Beds with string on top of them and carpets over it. The usual stuff you'd find at a farm. I've also made this little catwalk going around just so you have easy access to all the areas when building. You could leave this here once you've built it, but I'd personally recommend leaving it. If you wanted to, you could remove it. It's spawn proofed with these carpets, so there's no harm in keeping it. Down here, we've got our little collection system. As you can see, it's working acceptably. Why aren't you moving? Hey buddy, you need a little push. Okay, you spawn in a wall? No, hold on a second. This is a phenomenon I haven't seen before. He spawned in a wall. You look so sad. Yeah, let me help you out. There you go. Anyway, I feel like that's an issue with all farms, but I've never actually learned about that. This is the first time for me that I'm seeing that. As I was saying, we got a collection area. Also pretty standard, all spawn proofed. Got a little bit of a lengthier system going. I just hear a villager take damage. It's not good looking. Alright. Well, got a little collection system down here. Pretty simple. The reason why I've arranged it like this is simply because water in Minecraft is annoying and it often doesn't line up how you want it to. So this type of a system, while it is alright, could be improved upon. it is certainly less of a headache. So it's easier to build. Oh, hello. 3 of them spawn at once. And down here is that little pit where the golems fall into. I made this little entrance so I can exit and leave. Usually that'd be plugged off though. Let's wait for him to die. And you just got some signs blocking the lava, which is setting up top some hoppers. There's enough space to stand normally and walk around here without dying. So you could actually put like a hole in this wall and make an entrance or like a viewing port. You know, there's a lot of stuff you could do. All the hoppers lead into one chest, which is all the way over here. And it's already produced a bunch of iron for me, so it's working well. Proven method. And you've probably seen this little fellow over here and wondering what this is. This is my little nether portal system. Basically, if you want to boost your farm's efficiency, instead of using water to move the golems, you'd actually use nether portals, because these things transport you basically instantly. Look at that, that's really fast. And it's even faster for stuff like iron golems. You know, I have to sit through that little loading animation. Golems don't. So it's incredibly fast. And golems can actually spawn in this little sliver in between. And they just get trapped here. And also, their hitbox will intersect with the portal, so they automatically get teleported through. Anyways, I will be going back to this side to show off the nether end of this farm. Basically, you just got this little chamber over here. It's similar to what you'd find at the bottom of those pits, except I put a little bit more space here, just because the portal is a little bit larger. And golems would spawn, pushed off onto here, fall into lava, burn. Stuff gets collected into chests. Pretty simple. This could be built in like 10 minutes. So, if we go back to the overworld end, then get to see another look at the farm. It's working pretty fine. And for the next step, I'm going to be showing you guys how to actually build it. So, when choosing your location for your farm, ideally you're going to want someplace flat, so a plains biome or maybe a savanna, something that you've got a lot of space in and you don't have to clear out much stuff, or you want it by your base. So, to start off, first thing we're going to do is get some resources. In this case, I'm going to be using these chains, white carpet, string, deep slate tiles, stone bricks, deep slate walls, beds, boats, and water. So to start off with, we're going to want to make a 3x3x3 area in order to put your little golem chamber. And we'd also line the bottom with hoppers. We're going to expand this upwards by 50 blocks. So bear with me for a bit, it's going to take a little bit, but we've got to go 50 blocks up in order to transport the golems at reasonable speeds. And I'm also going to be putting in this little wall up here now. I've left a gap here for later. Now that we've built an adequate height upwards, next thing we're going to want to do is actually not build a platform first, because in theory, if you were building this in survival mode, if you were to build a platform, it would then become a pain to get the villager and the pillagers up beforehand. Not only that we've gotten this part sorted, the platform would theoretically branch out from here and go outwards, but right now, instead what we're going to do is we're going to build up several blocks, specifically 5 blocks upwards, and we're going to place a little, I'd call it, containment cell above our little pit here, which is actually where our little pillager is going to live. Now, with this centerpiece, you want to replace this with a wall, and out on the side, we're also going to need to change that because we're going to have some water right here. Then, I'm going to build this using walls right here to make it look a little bit nicer, but you could also replace these with just normal full blocks. And right here, we're going to place one water so that it starts flowing onto the wall. And from here up, we just build up the rest of the little cell, just like this. And we also have to put some slabs on the top on these 4 bits. And we're going to leave these open because right on the very edge of the block, as close to the edge as possible, I'm going to place a boat on all 4 sides. So, as close as you can get to the edge, place a boat. Just like that. I'm going to fix this one a little bit. Perfect. So, those are going to be stopping your villager from getting shot. Next thing's next. We're going to want to branch out exactly 4 blocks out. And we're also going to remove those 3 right there. And we're going to do this on all 4 sides just to give us certain reference points. Except for this side, you gotta be careful because there's 1 extra block sticking out, but that should be pretty obvious. So you'd only be removing those 2. Next, we're going to be connecting up all of these little blocks so that they meet. And at this corner, we're going to have to mark that. Maybe not. Just remember that corner. It's going to be important. And just connect all of those. Just like that. And we're also going to want to carpet these off, except for the corners, because we don't want anything spawning, especially not golems. And if you intend to remove these, you don't have to carpet them, but since I do intend to keep them, I'm going to have to do that. And also don't forget to put a carpet on top of this little fellow, because golems could spawn on here and kill your pillager, which would suck. Then 1 block out from these diagonally, so wherever these corners are, 1 block outwards, you're going to place another block, and this is going to be the start of our little containment cells. Now, this corner block can be removed. I personally would, but if you want to keep it, like I said, just carpet it off, make sure nothing spawns. But in this case, I'm going to be keeping all the supports and scaffolding and all that you would normally be working on if you were in survival. Next, you're going to build out 3 out and 3 out from each of these corners, just like that. And these are going to be little walls that keep our villagers inside. And we're going to place a temporary block right here and a full block that's going to be staying there, right there. And like this, we're going to place a deep slate wall right here, remove our temporary block, and then place a chain. And same thing for this other side. I build 2 full blocks, a wall, and then a chain. So repeat that on all 4. And now you've got that part. Make sure to carpet off any blocks that are going to stay, unless there's a block above them. Like for example, if you take a look at these, which are right on the wall and chain, golems can't actually spawn here. So no need to carpet these, but you do have to carpet the tops of each of these parts right here. Next, we're actually just going to build this entire area. We're just going to fill it in. But depending on how you place your beds, your results will look a little bit different. So the reason why I'm going to do it like this will be evident pretty shortly. But for now, just fill this in. Now that we've got these filled in, the general idea here is that you're going to need one bed right over here, one bed right over here, with the heads facing towards the villager, and then you can place a bed either this way or this way. It's really up to you. It doesn't make a single difference, but it will dictate if we remove these two blocks or if we remove those two blocks. So for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. Like I said, orientation doesn't matter, but if you want to be picky, you can have it all the same floor 4. But just know that this is the idea here. Next, you're going to want to place string on the beds. Just like this. And you're also going to want to place carpet on top of the string, because you can't place carpet usually on top of most things, but if you do it on top of string, it'll work just fine. So you should have sort of wonky looking W's here, and if not, then please rewatch. So now you've got that sorted, next step would be to get the villagers into these little chambers. So how you do that would differ from what you're doing, but generally you probably want to make a little bit of a staircase here, place some rails, get the villagers into a minecart, and make a little bit of a slope going all the way up to this little area where you would get them in here. So I'm going to show off how you do that quickly. I'm not going to be building a full staircase, so chances are you do it something like this. Now, I personally recommend getting your rails onto these little carpet areas. So when you're transporting villagers, just replace the carpet with rails, and you've got a nice little loop to get villagers into their little containment areas. So that's a really easy method, and you just bring them up from the bottom. As for the pillager, you just make a staircase going from these little catwalk areas over to the little pillager's containment area, and you would simply lure him into here and trap him in there. Pretty easy. So, for me, I'm just going to spawn the villagers and pillagers in. Do remember to name tag your pillagers, or else they will despawn, and it's going to be kind of annoying to get another one. You want 3 villagers in every little cell, and for now, you have to extra make sure that everything is spawn proof before you add your pillager in, or just simply wait and make sure that you've completed the entire farm before you put the pillager in. Either way works. So, now you got your little villagers in, I would not recommend putting the pillager yet. You're going to start making the platform. If you do have your pillager and you want to put him in, you can. Just make sure that you block off the pillager's line of sight from the villagers, since you don't really want any golems spawning, when you're building the farm. So, for example, you just take it, put a block over his head, boom, that's it. It does nothing. He's just chilling. Can't shoot at the villagers, and you just leave him. As for the platform on the bottom, you want to build 5 blocks out. And on the 6th one of this total, or your 5th one technically, you're going to go 1 block up. So, 1, 5, and 6, just like that, all 4 sides. Then, what you're going to do is you're going to fill in these blocks like this. But you're going to leave these original little areas where you built 3 out untouched, and you can also remove those blocks for later. So, by the end, it should look something like this. And you can also remove these little free blocks right here. And then fill in this bottom portion until the end, like this. And same for the other side. So now with that, we're going to add in our water. And before we do that though, we should probably place down some fence gates, or else it's going to become annoying to do that later when the water's in. So, first, we're going to need to place some fence gates going across, like this, on this little portion. Yep, just like that. And then, same for the other side. Somehow a golem has spawned. I'm not sure how. Oh. You guys shouldn't be scared right now. Alright. I guess it just spawned naturally. And then on the top of the little pit, we're going to place fence gates going like this. So by the end, you should have 2 rows of fence gates going right over these little ditches I've made, and then you should also have a small little row inside your little iron golem catcher, just like that. Now before we open these fence gates, we're going to place down the water first. So on all 3 blocks of those little troughs, you're going to be placing 3 blocks of water at the end of them, and same thing on the other side. And then for the other 2 parts of it, you're going to have water flowing towards the trash, so you're going to be placing it on the opposite end like this. You can do like every other water block yourself, because they're going to automatically fill in. So by the end, it should look like this. And you can now open your fence gates. Now, be careful not to fall in, because it's a long way down. And just open all of these. If you're feeling really OCD, you can make them all face opposite or the same direction. But for now, it doesn't really matter, since we're probably not going to be looking at this portion very often. And don't forget about the bottom ones as well. And there you go. You got your little catcher started. Now, don't forget to spawn-proof these little walls by placing deep slate tiles, or just any sort of slab. I don't recommend walls though, because while yeah, they do work, golems can technically spawn on the edge, or get caught in the edge. It's just gonna mess everything up if you do those. Now we've got that spawn-proofed, and we've got our villagers. We're still not going to release the pillager, because we've got to make that little tilting chamber for the golems. So, at the bottom, we're going to place some hoppers, and we're going to place them in such a way that they feed into a single chest, which later on you could expand into other chests. So, you want to place one chest horizontally, or really any way, as long as that you can feed a hopper into it. And while you're inside the chamber, you're going to crouch, and you're going to place a hopper while looking into the chest. And then you're going to do that same on the hopper you just placed, and the one right after that. So you've got a little bit of a chain of hoppers going into your chest. And for the other 6 hoppers, you're going to place them going into that chain, so that they're all feeding in to that little chain that's also feeding into the chest. So all your hoppers are connected. And here you can put some glass to watch your golems burn if you feel like that, or you can have it closed off, but for me, I'm going to put some glass. And do be warned, if you choose to do non-glass, aka stone or something, your chest won't be able to open if you put it right here, so you'd want to put a slab there or something. But with glass, no problem, the chest can still open fine. Now, on the side of it, you would probably want to dig a little bit of a staircase going upwards, just to make sure that you've got a little bit of height, because for the next thing, it's going to be a little bit dangerous. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place some signs. And this is also a great time to make sure you can, get out of your farm. So maybe you want to make like a door going out through here. But right now, I'm going to be placing these signs, and we're just going to place them on one of the walls, and then we're actually going to be placing signs on top of those signs. So you would place it while facing them signs, just like this. You don't have to type anything on the signs, doesn't really matter. And now you're going to want to leave. And that staircase I mentioned earlier is going to become useful because the next step is to place lava. Now, for your lava, it doesn't really matter how you place it, as long as it coats the entire little hopper area. So if you can still see signs, then that's a problem. So right now, I'm going to place one on this end and one on this end. I'm going to block this off so I don't get toasted. So that's fine. It looks kind of messy, but you won't have to look at it anyway. So now I've got that sorted. We'll close all it off, remove our little staircase. Our little chamber should be completed. So now we want to go back up to the top of the farm, and we can release our pillager. Now, assuming you've name tagged him, then you should be good to go. If not, remember to name tag him, and you should be set. Now, his crossbow is eventually going to break, so he will stop shooting the boats, at which point you could just replace the boats with slabs if you think the boats don't look good, or you could just keep the boats. Who knows? It's up to you. And yeah, with that, you should have a pretty good farm, which ideally looks good as well. Hopefully you use some nice materials. I think the ones I chose look pretty good, but if deep slate's too hard to get, that's fine. And yeah, now you should be producing about maybe 400 iron an hour, which is more than enough for most people. Most people. If you're not most people, then once again, check out my little Iron Farm Explained video where I also show how to make some of the most efficient iron farm possible. But for now, if you're happy with what you got, then thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and see you next video.